Well guys, after not driving it for a while, I'm like, oh, nice day out. It'd be nice to just take it out, let her stretch her legs. And what the fuck? Now the alternator stopped charging. I mean, it didn't stop charging. It's charging, but it's just sitting. It's below what I would like it to be. It's usually it's charging 13 to 14 volts. Today I turn her on and she's only charging at 11.8. So let me turn this guy on. Of course, the keys just slide into this little crevice here. The voltage is one of these up here. One of these. Yeah, right here. So you can see it's only at 11.6. That's not good. I have it set up to turn red when it starts getting low. But I mean, right now the heater's on a little bit, and it's dragging it down to 11.5, 11.6. So it's definitely the alternators. I mean, voltage regulator's just not keeping it where it needs to be. All right, so my original alternator that I bought about 4 years ago, finally, well, it didn't take a total shit, but it was charging at 11 volts. So that's not working very good. I did have it tested. It is not working. So I had to buy another one. Well, not buy, it's a replacement. So instead of me going through the whole thing and cutting this off and grinding down this section here, what I'm gonna do is show you how to replace the front housing, because all the modifications were done to this front housing here. As you can see, it's just this front housing that we need. So basically what I'll do is, you see it's the same exact alternator, it's just this one's more newer. So I'm just gonna take this housing off and replace it with this housing, and we should be good to go. So basically the first thing I do is take the pulley off. Keep the bolts with them also. I already took this one off. Alright, so I had to be sure before I showed you guys exactly how to take this thing off. So don't look at this one right now. So basically what I did was I took obviously the cover off. You take these 3 bolts off, and then you got these 4 bolts here. 1, 2, 3, 4. You take those 4 bolts out as well. So what you're gonna be left with, let me just show you real quick. These are all 8s. So basically you take these off. 1, 2. So whoever rebuilt this new one did a kind of crummy job with the bolts, because these bolts came right out. So as you can see, I take this out, this back cover, and then you're left with this. Okay, this is wow, this got a cover. This one don't have a cover. I don't know what the hell. So basically, let me keep going. So basically, like I said, you take these 4 bolts out, and then you flip it upside down. All right, once you take the 4 bolts out, the 4 big bolts, you flip it upside down, and then you start taking this cover off. Now, you got to be careful because this is going to start pulling the whole rotor. You don't want the whole rotor to come out. You just want this to come out. So once you take those bolts out, you got to slowly pry on either side, because since this tolerance is so tight right here at the bearing, the tolerances are really tight. So you want to slowly inch it out, and then you'll get something like this. Okay, this bearing is held on with these bolts here. So I would assume if your bearing is jacked, you could just take these bolts out here and replace your bearing as well. I don't think the bearing is that bad. So like I said, this is a remanufactured as well. So I like the fact that it's a brand new clean cover, but we got to go with this one has a new voltage regulator. What the hell is my problem? So that voltage regulator is no good. So I know for sure what the problem is, and that voltage regulator just stopped working. So yeah, it is what it is. So now that we have the cover off, what we got to do is just swap covers. Put this cover on here, and it'll bolt on exactly the same. We just got to put it all back together, and that's it. Make sure you don't pull the rotor out, because what's going to happen is back here where the rotor sits in, it has like some brushes, and when you pull those brushes out, then they're super hard to get back in. So you want to make sure that you don't pull the rotor out, because right now if I want, I could grab it and pull the rotor out. But if you do that, the little brushes that are in the back there would end up, you know, giving you issues. So I mean, it won't go back on. You have to put some pins and hold the brushes in, so that way you could put this back in. So just make sure you don't pull the rotor, and you'll be fine. Let me take this apart, swap the cover over, and show you how it looks. Alright, so here's the one I just took off. Here's the cover, the one with the modified. This is the one that's cut here. I cut that off, and then you trim this. This is the part you trim right here. So, and here's the stock one. As you can see, they're totally different. Kind of the same, but totally different. So, you know, you just line this part right here with the fat end. Like, oops. I put a little bit of grease, as you can see, on there, because I was seeing there was a little bit of rust that was accumulating on there. So I put a little bit of grease. I could have changed the bearings out, because they're the same. Take those 4 bolts out, and then I guess you press that bearing out, and you press that same bearing. But I'm not going to go through all that. This one's pretty much a new bearing, since 4 years ago. So basically you line this up here, and this is what centers the rotor from going, you know, wobbling or anything. So let me put this down real quick. Alright, so with that little bit of grease, it slides right down in there, like really nice. So as you can see, this this is the fat part here. You line it up with this pin here. It's not down all the way right now. I'm still keeping it right there. But as you can see, it's all pretty much together. I just need to push it all the ways down. I'm just want to record this so that way you guys can see that, you know, the housings are pretty much exactly, I mean, they're exactly the same. So you once you put this down, it'll center it all the ways, and then you won't have any problems with the rotor rubbing or anything. It should be fine. Alright, so I didn't put the bolts in yet. I just pushed it all the ways down to make sure it's down all the way correctly. And now, as you can see, ooh, she spins really nice, really nice. That's the end of the shaft there. And if you can, shit, no, it's not good. I can't. Let me see if I could turn this light. There we go. As you can see right there, it has that. That's what I'm talking about when it's riding up against the rotor. That's the brush. It's one of the brushes. I think it's only one brush that's on there. Maybe there's two. Yeah, there's two. There's one on this side and one on the other side. So there's two brushes. Damn, this thing's heavy. So there's two brushes. One on the back's very back, and one in the front. So those two you would have to make sure are up in. If you, let's say, mistakenly pull this out, you would have to make sure that those brushes are all the ways in, and then that would have to go back down. But, you know, just to avoid that whole thing, just don't pull the rotor out. Don't try to take this off with hand tools. This big center bolt, don't try to take it out with a hand. Just get this isn't even the best, you know, impact. Just get a good impact and just hold the pulley right here and just zap it, and take the nut out. It'll come right off. So yeah, just get yourself a good impact, zap it off, and then go under here. Do these by hand. These little ones, just do those by hand because they're so fine threads, and yeah, they're fine threads. So do these by hand slowly. And I had one break, which is on the new one. Like somebody must have cross-threaded it or something, because look, that one broke. Fucking idiots, man. So I'm not gonna mess with it. I'm just gonna put the 3 bolts in there and put it all back together and call it a day. I'm not worried about it. Alright guys, so here's the finished product. Just looks like an alternator again. But yeah, I mean the alternator went back together fine. It's kind of weird to have a nice shiny back housing, and you can't really see it on video, but whatever. We just need the internals. Actually, we just need the voltage regulator, which I think the voltage regulator was the problem of the old one. But I think at one time I did check the voltage regulator and to the price, and it was like $100 or something like that. Like, it was ridiculous. And it was like, okay, I could just get a whole alternator for that price. But yeah, it looks good. It's ready to rock and roll. I'm gonna test it tomorrow because it's 10 o'clock, so I can't really test it right now. So I'll test it tomorrow, and we'll see how it works.